women are people, and while we should be treated like equals, for some reason we still aren't. Hi, I'm Stacey Taylor, and today I'm counting down the top 10 most misogynistic celebrities in Hollywood. So, do you think women should be treated as equals? And let us know in the comments below. So, coming in at number 10 today, we have Arnold Schwarzenegger. In an interview with Men's Health in 2018, the former governor of California was asked about the multiple allegations from multiple women against him that came up in 2003 when he was running for office. With 6 women claiming SH claims, the allegations have panned on for more than 3 decades. During his speech in 2003, he would apologize for behaving badly at times, though he insisted that a lot of the stuff in the story was not true. In his interview in 2018, however, he would apologize for his past behavior towards women, and he would say he has since learned from his mistakes. Looking back, I have stepped over the line several times, and I was the first one to say sorry. I feel bad about it, and I apologize. When I became the governor, I wanted to make sure that no one, including me, ever makes this mistake. That's why we took SH courses, to have a clear understanding from a legal point of view and also from a regular behavior point of view of what is accepted and what is not. However, Arnold would still claim his views on masculinity have not changed. One thing he does regret, though, is referring to his political opponents in 2004 as girly men, though not for the reason of it being seen as misogynistic, but because they weren't willing to take risks. While people mostly forgot about his comments and issues, it wasn't until we all found out that he actually knocked up his nanny and raised the love child alongside of his kids before we all started to remember what truly happened. At number 9, Mel Gibson. So Mel Gibson has been denying parts of his infamous DUI charade for years now, but not because of the anti-Semitic statements, because of the misogynistic comments towards a female officer. So you may recall that the police report from the infamous Malibu incident, in which cops claimed that Gibson was extremely under the influence and called a female cop sugar tits. However, when he appeared on Jimmy Kimmel's show, Mel would try to claim that it was actually the arresting officer who threw around the term, and then Jimmy would go on to call the word the greatest new word of the decade. However, I don't think any of us really believed Mel when he tried to say it wasn't him that said it. While I'm sure he was only trying to say it in a respectful way, right? Like, he was probably thinking, oh, this officer is like sweet like sugar and she has a great chest, so he used the reference to humiliate her. While Ricky Jarvis poked fun at Mel Gibson during the 73rd annual awards, he would then go on to blame NBC for allowing the pair to be on stage at the same time together as when he was backstage. He just kept asking what the word even meant. Either way, it wasn't cool for anybody to say the term, especially Mel. Hey, my little peaches, are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in at number 8, we have Chris Brown. At first, Chris Brown seemed like a pretty nice stand-up guy, and then we all watched him turn into a complete monster. After pictures started to arise of Rihanna's face after he had an altercation with her, photos would then soon come out showing Chris on a jet ski with the biggest smile on his face. Yeah, he seemed really broken about that whole thing. Oh, just kidding, he really wasn't. Now he spends most of his time now bothering other women, and worse, he's actually stalked a couple of his exes. Like most men who decide it's okay to have an altercation with the female, they end up losing their jobs, and they tend to get the boot from Hollywood. However, this was not the case for Chris Brown, as he's still able to carry on making waves by dropping new albums. And let's not forget, anytime there's news about him dropping a new album, it's very much highly anticipated. Despite everything that's been said about him, he's still managed to almost entirely escape his past, and he's made his fans forget about his violent tendencies, which is crazy. Number 7, Bill Cosby. The thing about certain charges is that it only takes one to make people believe that you don't like women. However, if you're Bill, by the time you hit his level of mistakes, there's not only no doubt that you hate women, but it's also been replaced by a blinding horror. With his moves being a one-man war against women, it's once again proven to render us and make us shapeless, unresponsive, and if you take him to court for it, he might just try to countersue you. With his moves being more of a last-ditch effort to salvage his legacy, the countersuit would be seen as the most misogynistic thing we've ever seen. Perhaps this is the same same hatred that may have driven him to commit his crimes against women. But there's still something so brutally primal and off about someone using all they have to take everything you are without your consent. Bill's conduct throughout his whole life reflects his disregard for women as people, and he's even bullied interviewers who were women and suggested that if people wanted to take their footage seriously, then they should be nowhere in it, and that they shouldn't even have him appear in it. I mean, like, how dare all these women seek out his help to get jobs, his moral guidance to navigate through the world, step out of his gaze and into their own strengths. That would be a joke if we did that. Right? Number 6, Clint Eastwood. Now, Clint Eastwood is from another era, but he's also super keen on the idea of keeping this era that era. He once even joked about the Tonys, that all the nominees for best directors were all guys, but in a way that it was like it would be weird if it wasn't all guys. So not only that, but this man has also shown us some unreal amounts of sexism over the years, and he's even said it doesn't take much for a woman to be labeled as a certain word we all don't like to hear. Even in his film Richard Jewell, it completely disregarded women. Like, I would love at this point to see Clint Eastwood do a film where it's in the eye of a woman and everything we have to battle with men while navigating through life, because it might just show him women actually should be the ones running the world. However, I'm afraid at this point he's so stuck in his old ways, he might never change. You know that saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Well, apparently the same goes for a majority of men, because you can't teach them that women are just as strong. Coming in number 5, we have Jeremy Renner. Did you know that Jeremy Renner and Chris Evans both find themselves in a bit of trouble after they made a joke about Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow character being a man-eater? During the Avengers Age of Ultron press tour, Jeremy would make some extremely rude comments about Scarlett Johansson's character. Though Jeremy quickly issued an apology saying he was poking fun during the exhausting and tedious press tour, when he went on another talk show, he would imply that he didn't take any of the criticism he received to heart. Jeremy would then tell O'Brien that he got himself into a bit of internet trouble, and then he launched into some more questionable jokes when he said, "Mind you, I was just talking about a fictional character and fictional behavior, but if you slept with 4 out of the 6 Avengers, no matter how much fun you had, you would be a man-eater." Just saying, a man-eater. He would then double down on his comments and say, "I wish I was still in the early 90s so I could say smooth moves, Elax, and not sound like a complete dork." At this point, he just needs to stop, and he needs to say sorry like Chris did and man up, because hating women is just not it. And number 4, Michael Bay. So you ever watch a Michael Bay movie and count how many female butts he focuses on opposed to how many male butts appear in the entire film? I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with admiring a nice cake, because let's face it, we all like a nice cake, but enough is enough. Women in Michael Bay movies are objectified over and over again, and it's like he's constantly has this obsession with wanting to add women butts into scenes. At this point, he just throws them in wherever he wants, and sometimes it makes no sense to the scene, and he just throws them in there so males will just go into the theater and gawk at everything they see in the film. And honestly, it's just not it anymore. Like, no one just lounges on their motorcycles like that, Michael Bay. No one. It's also been said that Megan Fox was treated inappropriately when she served as an extra on the set of Bad Boys 2, as Megan was 15 and he had her dance under a waterfall wearing a bikini. It's also said that for her Transformer audition, he even made her wash his Ferrari for the part. While Megan has claimed that she was treated badly during the Transformer movie, Michael would even have his crew stand up for his bad behavior to make Megan look like the bad guy. And number 3, Dirk Benedict. So if you don't know who Dirk Benedict is, then you probably remember him as Starbuck in the cheesy 1970s outer space adventure show, Battlestar Galactica. He was also on the A-Team when Battlestar was rebooted in the mid-2000s. Now, Starbuck was recast as a woman, of course, and instead of just letting a woman have the role, he would go on to let the world know why a woman was casted in the role, and not him, by claiming it was due to the downfall of masculinity. But honestly, there's never been a downfall to masculinity, and men just need to stop claiming that other men are just too girly, because that's not true. What made things even worse is that he decided to not only take a jab at the show's producer's decision, but he also, in the process, took a jab at women by saying that maybe they just realized that the character was a poor man, Han Solo, and decided to make her a little more interesting. His rants tend to usually be about feminism and how it ruined everything, and it was better when men were men and women were women. But honestly, everyone is just everyone. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Because he believes that men are meant to smoke cigars while women are meant to pop out babies, it's quite a scary concept to think about in this generation. Coming at number 2, we have Roman Polanski. Remember when serious allegations from women started to arise from multiple women and how he's still in complete denial of the fact? Or let's take a look at his absurd comment when he said he thinks birth control is making women more masculine. Back in 2013, when the filmmaker made comments at the Cannes Film Festival where he came to premiere Venus in Fur, not only would he claim that the pill was masculizing women, but he would also say leveling of males and females was idiotic. Roman would then say that the pill has changed the place of women in our times, and he would rather bemoan the fact that offering flowers to a lady has become indecent. There are other elements I think chases away romance from our lives, and that's a great pity. While Roman was released from the Swiss house arrest in 2010 after the country refused to deport him back to the United States, Roman is only allowed to freely move between Switzerland and France, as he is restricted by a warrant that is effective in 188 countries. And if you believe in Roman's statements, then you're probably one of the many celebrities that wants him freed in the United States. And coming in at number 1 today, we have Sean Penn. Sean Penn may come across as a nice guy these days, however, he is actually a monster. So back when he was with Madonna, during an altercation, he would actually tie her to a chair and do what Chris Brown did to Rihanna, but in a more aggressive way. It doesn't matter how many Democrats you want to endorse, after doing something like that, you're still awful. Also, let's not forget he doesn't have a great form when it comes to standing up for sisterhood. While stating that he thinks men have, in his view, become quite feminized, we would create this concerning idea that surrounds gender today. By stating that it's definitely not a good thing, he would say, I have these very strong women in my life who do not take masculinity as a sign of oppression towards them. There are still a lot, I think, cowardly genes that lead to people surrendering their genes and putting on a skirt. He would then double down on his statement later by saying, I don't think in order to be fair to women, we should become them. I'm just going to say, no one wants you to become a woman. We just want you to respect us and treat us like equals because that's all we are. Now, for years, men have stated we are people and we have rights, but we're still not treated as equals. And in 2023, I think it's time as women we make it known that the real people who run the world are women, and men need to stop getting it twisted. Well, that's it for this video, my little peaches. Until the next one, remember to stay juicy.